Okay, in this video we're going to be checking out the Archer X5 frame from iFlight-RC. This is a 5-inch FPV racing drone frame, and what's interesting is it's kind of an ultralight. I'm not exactly sure if it actually qualifies an ultralight or not, but it does come with two sets of arms, and I'm not 100% sure for the same length. We'll get into that here in a second. I think they are pretty close, but one has no motor protection on the ends of the arms here, you can see, and the other one has this little hook here that can add a little more motor protection, and they also include these 3D print parts that can act as soft mounts and also cover up the end of the little hooks here, so if you do happen to hit something like concrete, it'll actually give it a little bit of protection for the carbon so it doesn't delaminate. And let's see what else we get here. We get this shark fin that goes on the top plate, so you can have a little bit of space there. If you flip over, you can then use turtle mode to flip it back over. You get a nice battery strap here with a metal buckle, and we got a little silicone or foam, a battery pad here, and a little 3D printer part for the SMA connector in the back. Get little caps here for your forever tubes, and get a couple of those. Get your stickers, and you get your hardware, your standoffs, nuts, and bolts. And you get this pretty nice explosion diagram. You can see here, pretty basic frame, 4 arms. You get sandwich plate here for the bottom. You get your standoffs and a very skinny top plate here, and some camera side plates. So go ahead, and I'll go ahead and take all this stuff out here, and we'll put it together, and we'll take a quick look at it. Okay, so here it is all put together. It was fairly simple, not too terribly difficult to put together. So to follow the explosion diagram here, and a couple of things to note. You want to use the 12mm screw to go down through the sandwich plates and the 6mm arm, so 6mm arm, and into this press fit nut. And these 4 points are actually the only ones that are actually holding the arms together, and their arms are butted up against each other here, so they won't, they shouldn't rotate if you've tightened down these nuts here. But that's pretty much all that's holding the frame together, is that the 14mm screws that come up from the bottom here, that go into the 30x30, the mounting hole pattern for the stack, just goes into this nylon standoff here. So that's not really there for supporting the frame, and you have these small 6mm screws that goes into the standoffs here on top and the bottom. It feels fairly stiff. It is a little bit on the loose side. I think I have to tighten this one down a little bit more. You can see there's a bit of a gap there, so you have to really tighten those down to get the frame to be as stiff as possible, but it doesn't seem to jiggle too much. But yeah, that's all that's holding the frame together. There's those 4 points there, these 12mm screws going in here. There's a hole that goes through the arm, of course, in the sandwich place for the 30x30 stack, and of course the 20x20 goes all the way through here. It's in this little section here that doesn't even go through the arm at all. So if you use a 20x20 stack, there's actually no support there, but I wouldn't count on this being as support for the frame. You probably want to keep this as light as possible. Now, a couple more specs on the frame. It is a stretched X, as you can see, 220mm motor to motor. It is 167mm front to back, and 140mm side to side. And all the rest of these plates here are 2mm. And as you can see here, I built this as light as possible. I used the lighter arms, the arms without the hooks and stuff. Those arms, I weighed 4 of those, and those weighed 35.4 grams. Now the arms with the extra motor protection do weigh more. Looks like they weigh about 6 grams or 41.4 grams. And if you want to use the 3D printed parts for the end of the arms, that's going to add another 6.6 grams. The little 3D printer part on the back for the SMA connector comes in at about 2 grams. And then the shark fin, if you want to use that, that's going to add another about 7 grams. So it's a lot of extra weight for the frame. Let's see. If we just weigh the frame by itself, we're coming in at 69.3 grams. So if you do add all of the 3D printed parts, just add all that weight onto the weight of this frame, plus the extra 6 grams for the bigger arms, and you're going to have a much heftier frame. So another thing I noticed, and I think you should note, is that if you do use the lighter arms, the hole pattern is rotated. So look at the way the arm is oriented. You can see that the hole pattern is like this, so that the motor wire is going to come off at an angle. So you might want to take that into consideration if you're going to go this route. Whereas if you use the arm with the motor protection, the motor wire is going to go parallel to the arm, whereas this one is rotated 45 degrees. And of course, this is the standard 16 or 19 millimeter hole pattern for most 22XX type motors or 23XX motors. So in terms of the carbon itself, as always, iFlight-RC has really high quality carbon. All the arms are chamfered and clean, so there's no carbon dust. And yeah, this looks like it's a pretty solid frame. Should hold up pretty well on a crash, but I think that if you look at this, is really meant for ultralight build. I would probably go with like a 2205 motor, high kV, something like that. Obviously, you want the battery on the bottom, put that on there, and the battery strip goes through here. You can do either a 20 by 20 or 30 by 30 stack, so a lot of flexibility there. Probably want to go 30 by 30. Sorry, I have a 20 by 20 to keep the weight down. Maybe put like an HDLRC, maybe like F438 stack. That would be pretty interesting. And then like that should be plenty of space here for 3 boards, and then FPV camera. And then you can just put like a little whip antenna out the back here, keep the weight all the way down. And then obviously, if you want to use the turtle mode shark fin, that does add an extra 7 grams, so keep that in mind. Yeah, overall, so it's a pretty cool looking frame. I think that if you're looking to build some sort of a Stretch X ultralight racing frame, definitely want to check this one out. With the 6mm arms and the lightweight, it ought to hold up pretty well on a crash. Yeah, a little bit suspicious on the only one screw hole being there for support, but I think that if you can tighten that down all the way, it ought to be okay if you can keep the weight down. As long as you use like giant 24 or 2306 motors, you know, something like a 2205, keep the weight down, that ought to be okay in a crash. So definitely want to keep the weight down for this type of frame. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.